Happy Monday. Welcome to Moxie Bets, presented by Caesar Sportsbook. I'm your host, Katie Mox. Coming up on today's show, we'll recap Week 10 in the NFL and let you know how we did. Plus, we'll preview Monday Night Football between the Commanders and the Eagles and give you our best bets. And of course, you know it. You've got some Mox Locks coming your way. But before we get started, let's welcome in our guest every Monday, Mr. Monday, Danny Brasco. Danny, how's it going?
It's going great. Another profitable week in the NFL. Some crazy games. I'm looking forward to getting to the action with you today. Lots to talk about.
Lots to talk about. Okay, first things first, let's get into our Mox thoughts. Number one, the Seahawks versus the Buccaneers in Germany. The Bucs defeat the Seahawks 21-16. Now, Kenny was on the show last week, and he said that Tom Brady would be back, and Tom Brady was definitely back. He gave the Germans fans exactly what they wanted to see, Tom Brady be great. I had Geno Smith over 1.5 passing touchdowns. That was at even money. That still hit, and the Seahawks lost. So it was a great day to be Mox. Did you have any plays in this game?
Yeah, I took the Bucs minus 2.5. Kenny and I were chatting earlier in the week, and we were kind of doing early look-ahead lines, and we felt like, yeah, the sharps are going to be on the Seahawks, but minus 2.5 for the Bucs kind of feels like a gift here after a big momentum win the previous week. The divorce is in the rearview mirror. It kind of felt like maybe Brady's going to get the mojo back a little bit. And sometimes the weird travel spot makes it harder for teams, but kind of felt like, it's good for the Bucs to get out of there, do something new, be in Germany, kind of refresh a little bit. And they played really well for 3 quarters, almost like the Seahawks back in it. But looks like the Bucs have found something, and I'm expecting them to make a little noise now.
Yeah, I expect them to. I mean, we have a group chat between you, Kenny, and I, and Kenny was like, they're going to win out. They're going to win the NFC. I was like, slow your roll, Kenny. I don't think they're going to win out from here, but he is a big Tom Brady fan. And I was just excited that the Seahawks looked very pedestrian because I feel like they are pedestrian and they're frauds and they're not as good as they seem. But again, I'm a hater, so that is what it is. Next up, the Vikings versus the Bills. This was the game of the year so far. The Bills, unfortunately, 2 years in a row in the game of the year, but on the wrong side of it. Bills lose this game. You had, that Peterson interception of Josh Allen. Josh Allen has thrown an interception, I think, in the fourth quarter in multiple games this year, back to back. Jefferson had 10 catches, 193 yards, that incredible game-saving one-handed grab that was just absolutely ridiculous. And, the Bills fell apart. And then there was, they gave it to Allen. He fumbled in the end zone with 41 seconds left. Then Minnesota recovered it and just went up 30-27. I was at the Giants game, so I didn't watch a whole lot of these 1 p.m. games. I did, however, watch the last half of this. I had the Bills to cover minus the 3.5, so I was left very salty. Horrible bad beat. And who doesn't, the quarterback sneak who you give it to is Jimmy Garoppolo, not Josh Allen.
Jimmy G QB sneak. Of course you're calling for that, but I mean, yeah, it was some of the
because he's perfect. Events. He's perfect. He doesn't mess up. That's all I'm saying.
I love how you found a way to bring Jimmy G into the conversation. In game of the year, you're like, oh, if they had Jimmy G, it would have been good on the QB sneak. I love it. Yes. But I mean, yeah, truly some of the craziest events I've ever seen unfold in a football game. That Justin Jefferson catch is being debated with the Odell catch as potentially the greatest in NFL history. Insane. Unfortunately,
Odell's had a little bit more on the line with his catch, I will say,
and that's sort of like the feather in the cap for that debate. Like, well, it meant more, but nonetheless, still so acrobatic, amazing, and yeah, unthinkable. Like you said, Josh Allen being in the game of the year again, but again on the wrong side. I saw a hilarious meme of like him remembering the Chiefs game, and then faintly in the background, there's like pictures of helicopter and soldiers and war, and he's just seeing all the traumatic memories. It happened again, Josh. Kirk Cousins balling out.
Yeah. Kirk Cousins balling out. Okay, you got to give it to Kirk Cousins ever since he was shirtless with the chains on, or actually even before that. He's been, balling out and doing really well. And the Bills just falling apart in the fourth quarter. I mean, my Super Bowl future is on this. Now, of course, I would rather the 49ers win this, who I think, have a really good chance at this point. But I did bet on the Bills to win the Super Bowl. So I'm hoping that they clean up their act together. Now, could it be that Josh Allen is still a little bit injured and maybe shouldn't have been playing, and that's why he didn't play so good? I don't know. But do you feel like there's trouble in Buffalo?
I don't think he was playing injured. You saw how many plays he made with his legs with the game on the line. I mean, he was running all over the field. If he's playing hurt, that guy's got a better.
It's his elbow.
Right.
But
I mean,
that was the problem. Yeah.
Right, but he was colliding pretty hard. Like, he wasn't sliding on any of these plays. He was going shoulder in first. So if he was, he's got an amazing poker face. But I wouldn't say there's trouble. These crazy games happen. But Yeah, they got to clean something up. I mean, Diggs did so much for that game that it feels
Yeah.
like, I mean, they were up 17 points late in the game. It's a bad look for sure.
A bad look for sure. All right, let's talk about a good look for the Lions. Finally, the Lions defeat the Bears 31-30. It was the first road win for Dan Campbell. You actually love to see it as head coach. They were tied at the half. The Bears were up 2 touchdowns in the third, and then Detroit scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. Chicago 6 points to win the game. Goff led, I like to talk a lot of trash about Goff. He led an 8-play, 91-yard drive in the closing minutes. I will say Justin Fields, he's had a comeback. It was just a few weeks ago, Danny. We were like, what's wrong with Justin Fields? Is he going to amount to anything? And the answer is yes. In week 10, he became the first player in NFL history with 2 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, and 100 rush yards in one game. He also has 2 of the top 8 single game rushing totals, 178 and 147 by a quarterback in NFL history in the last 2 weeks. So I will say Justin Fields, I think he's going to be okay, but a big win for the Lions. I didn't have a play in this game. Did you?
I did. I had Justin Fields over pass plus rush yards. I felt like, oh, maybe, last week, 178, too good to be true. Maybe he comes back to earth. This guy is out Lamaring Lamar Jackson. I mean, holy smokes, nobody could stop him. And when he decides to take off, it's basically an automatic first down. So he went crazy again on the ground. And I didn't bet on the side because Lions, Bears, I mean, it just feels sketchy.
Oh, my.
Just saying those. Literally, I was waiting for you to come in with the pun. I felt weird. And once again, a game comes down to a missed extra point differential. And it feels like, I'm just remembering when I grew up watching football as a kid, the extra point was a foregone conclusion. You score a touchdown, it's 7 points, right? Maybe there's like a crazy block every now and then. Since they've moved it back, however many yards it is now, so many misses, so many games decided by that point at some point in the game. So it's just fascinating. Wild stuff.
Totally. And this is the one game that I'm bummed I didn't get to see because, again, I was at the Giants game. Colts versus Raiders. The Colts defeat the Raiders 25-20. It was the first win for debuting head coach Jeff Saturday. Matt Ryan returned as the quarterback. Were you able to watch this game? Because I wasn't. It was the one game I really wanted to see. Tell me what you think about it.
I tuned in for a little. I was watching every game at once, obviously, as much as I could, because I bet on almost all of them on the Sunday slate yesterday. But, more than anything, well, first of all, I got to tip my cap to Kenny. You guys were talking about my rock, paper, scissors theory on your episode, and I tuned into your episode to hear Kenny talk about his angle, that the firing the coach angle, which works time and time again. New coach comes in, new blood, new momentum, some chemistry, and a team picks up that kind of win on the back of that injection of life. And it even happened with an inexperienced, undeserving, all these things that people were saying about Jeff Saturday. And
egomaniac that doesn't, the slander that was coming out was I like that Jeff Saturday got this win.
And you know what? Like, good for him. I think he's very well liked by players and his colleagues at ESPN for sure. It was more slander on Jim Irsay to kind of do this out of the blue, disrespect the other coaching staff. Feels like it doesn't make sense. And there was a lot of chatter. So we'll see. It's one win, and it's over the hapless Raiders.
Yeah, but people were saying that Jeff Saturday should have not taken the job, that it was unbelievable that he would even think that he could do the job. So, and look, again, I think it's all fair, and winning this game doesn't necessarily say too much. However, I think he is the first coach in history to have tweeted that one team is terrible 2 weeks prior to beating them the next week.
Hey, he wasn't wrong.
Weeks, but
he wasn't wrong.
He wasn't wrong. Oh, and did you watch? I did watch clips of the press conference after with Derek Carr getting emotional there, and him saying, "Look, what we do to our bodies just to go to bed at night, to have this be the result, it's frustrating." And I can't imagine one being a football player and taking the hits that they do. But yeah, you put your body through absolute hell, through a gauntlet every single week. And to be losing all the time and not to be playing well, I really can't. I mean, yeah, the flip side of that is, they're getting paid millions of dollars. Sure, but they want to win games.
And now that Katie's given you the human side, I'll say that Derek Carr is not pulling his weight for my fantasy team. So that's where I stand.
Okay. Yep. So all right, fine. All right, fine. Derek Carr crying. Who cares? He's not pulling his weight here. All right, let's talk about Cowboys versus Packers. Packers defeat the Cowboys 31-28 in overtime. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers snap a 5-game losing streak. Mike McCarthy's return to Lambeau was unsuccessful. Aaron Rodgers, I will say Green Bay Packers fans were calling for his head last week. We had Lil Wayne tweeting out that you should have got rid of Rodgers last year, and all these people saying how much Rodgers sucks. Well, Rodgers, 14 of 20, 224 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. And by the way, this is up against a Dallas defense, okay? It's not exactly a cakewalk. So props up to Aaron Rodgers for kind of proving everybody wrong. And I hope that those Green Bay Packers fans that were calling for his head feel a little stupid this morning because he is still one of the greatest of all time.
That's a fact. And I feel like I got to pat myself on the back for this one. Normally, picking a win and a cover for Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers was free money in the past. This year, it's one of the hardest things to do in the NFL, but I was successfully able to cash Packers plus 3.5, and I sprinkled the money line. I put it out to my followers, Katie, and I was like, guys, don't yell at me. And don't yell at me, please. We're going to bet Packers plus 3.5 and just close your eyes and look at the end of the game. Yeah. And there you have it. Down 2 scores late in the game. I'm like, why did I just donate to Caesars? Like, I should have saved that money. What am I doing? And they found a way to do it and win the game outright anyway. So I'm happy for them. But yeah, that was big for the NFC as well. Like the Packers feel like maybe they saved their season there. The Cowboys fall a game in a vaunted NFC East where everyone can't stop winning. So it was actually a pretty big result there. And Aaron continues to own Dak and Jerry Jones and the Cowboys.
Well, I think it was just such a big game too because McCarthy coming back. I think both McCarthy and Rodgers really, really wanted to get that win, and I was happy that Aaron came out on the top side of that. I don't think that McCarthy is that great of a coach. I just don't. All right, moving on to the game that I care about the most. The Chargers versus the 49ers. Niners win 22-16. This was a battle. I thought that the Chargers defense was excellent. The Niners defense took a little time to warm up, now 2 weeks in a row here. And the Chargers, unfortunately, just had so many injuries to their defensive line as the game went on. It just got harder and harder for them to stop the run. I thought they did a pretty good job of it in the first half of the game. And then the Niners just started running down their throats. 49ers are 8-0 under Kyle Shanahan when rushing the ball at least 40 times, including 2-0 this season. There was that questionable call with Herbert and the head-to-head with Greenlaw. Greenlaw was ejected from the game. I think it was a bad call. Obviously, I do think that it was a foul. I don't think that there was intent there, and I think the ejection was a little bit egregious. However, I'm glad that Herbert is okay because when they kept replaying it a million times, it definitely looked like a kind of a painful, I didn't know if it was questionable for him to come back. I was happy to see that he did come back. But, Hufanga, 4 interceptions. He had that interception at the end of the game. It's the most by any 49ers defender since Parrish Cox, who had 5 in 2014. We still have 8 games left. So excited to see what Hufanga can do for the rest of the season. And the 49ers defense, again, in the second half, they have not given up a single point in their last 2 second halves. It's 110 yards combined in the second half versus the both LA teams, the Rams and the Chargers there. And, the 49ers were 9 of 17 on third down. So shout out to Jimmy Garoppolo for being very good on third down in this game. But I know that you took the Chargers on the spread, so cash for you and a win for me with my 49ers.
There you go. We're both happy. Really interesting information that you just dropped there. I love that stat. The Niners are undefeated when they rush the ball 40 or more times. I love that. That's their identity right there. And yeah, we're all looking for that offense to really get going. The 3-headed monster of McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell now, and Deebo Samuel is perhaps the best 3-headed monster at running back in the NFL. Yeah. It just feels like they just need to get it going a little bit. At the goal line, I'm watching McCaffrey at halfback and Deebo goes in motion. And I'm like, Kittle is kind of doing some trickery at the end of the line. I'm like, what is about to happen? Because the Niners are so dynamic when you have those weapons. So, the defense is there once they're getting really healthy. I know the secondary has been riddled with injury, Verrett going out, but you guys got Troy Polamalu 2.0 and Hufanga doing his thing. So, they look really scary. It just feels like they got to get healthy and get their rhythm going. And last night it was kind of an ugly win, but gritted it out anyway, not in their best performance. And that's what good teams do.
Well, and I will say the Chargers defense, especially in the red zone there, we were driving the ball down the field really, really well with the run game, and they couldn't get it past the goal line. So I thought the Chargers did a really, really good job at that one. All right, people, we're brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook, the greatest sports betting app of all time. See, it's not just about the daily promos, odd boosts, or the hundreds of ways to wager. It's about the immortal words of Caesar himself. You bet, you get with Caesars Rewards. Every bet you place on the app, no matter the outcome, earns towards exclusive perks at Caesars Rewards destinations everywhere. Hotel stays, concert tickets, bonuses, and more. Download the Caesars Sportsbook app, become a Caesars Rewards member today, and get more with every wager. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-522-4700. Lions, Tigers, and tailgates. Oh my, the college football season is always a great time of year. Besides the jerseys, the face paint, and the foam fingers, there's the food. And nothing gets you more fired up for game day than Eckrich smoked sausage. They're naturally hardwood smoked and have the perfect blend of spices. From buffalo sausage dip to sausage chili mac and cheese, Eckrich smoked sausage is a quick way to bring flavor to all your tailgate meals. Visit Eckrich.com for easy, one-of-a-kind sausage recipes. Eckrich, you do you. Time now for Capper's Corner, and we'll bring back in Danny Brasco. We're going to preview Monday Night Football between the Commanders and the Eagles. Danny, what are your best bets for this? Let's just go through the lines right now. Eagles, heavy favorites, minus 550. Spread 11, double digits. They did not cover their 14-point spread against the Texans in their last primetime game. Over under 43.5, pretty low. What do you think?
Yeah, and I cashed plus 14 on the Texans. It was a sweat, but these huge spreads are just scary to lay, even with the best teams in the NFL, the undefeated teams. So yeah. I don't want to lay 11 points. I also don't feel like I trust the Commanders enough to take the plus 11. If I was going to, I would be on the points with the Commanders, but I'll look at the under. The last time these teams played, scoring was at a really tough to come by. And really, it only came in one quarter. The Eagles scored all 24 of their points in the second quarter. Aside from that, they were scoreless, and the Commanders didn't score a touchdown till there was 2 minutes left in the game in garbage time. So really nothing doing from either of these offenses. We know how good the Eagles' run game is behind Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders, but quietly, the Commanders' rush DVOA is second in the NFL. And when they last matched up, Eagles were held to their lowest rushing total this season, along with Jalen Hurts. So I feel like, both teams do struggle a little more in this. I should say the Commanders struggle in the secondary. Eagles are fantastic in the secondary. So, the Eagles are good at running the ball on offense, but the Commanders are good at stopping the run on defense. And then vice versa in the pass game. So I just don't know how these teams will find ways to really move the ball over and over again. I like the under 43.5.
All right, I'm taking the Commanders plus 11 here. I think that the Eagles, of course, are going to win this game, but I'm willing to give 11 points to the Commanders. It's one of the toughest defenses that the Eagles will face. And Heineke's 8-2-1 against the spread in his last 11 starts. He's also 2-1 against the spread as a starter this season. He's also 2-1 straight up. The Commanders' past 5 games have each been decided by 5 points or fewer. And in 10 weeks, there has not been a week in the NFL where the favorites covered more times than the underdogs have. Dogs lead 7-6 entering this Monday Night Football game. So again, if we think this game is going to go under, it's hard for me to give 11 points to the Eagles. So I'm looking at the Commanders to cover this spread.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like you said, 11 in division. It's so many points with a low total and a big spread. Those typically match up where you want the points, right? If they're going to be at a premium, I want every point I can get. So that makes logical sense to me. And if I was going to be on a side, I'd be with you on the Commanders as well.
Cool. Well, what else are you looking for in this game? Any prop bets, perhaps?
Yes, indeed. I love me some primetime player props. So first, I mentioned how good these defenses have been, and the Eagles really can point to their secondary with James Bradbury and Slay. I mean, those guys have been locking up, and they are number 2 against opposing number 1 wide receivers in DVOA, meaning Terry McLaurin might get locked up tonight. I'm trying to figure out how the Commanders move the ball continually against the Eagles. That's probably on the ground, where, funny enough, the Eagles rank pretty poorly. But in the air, Heineke, I believe he is an upgrade over Carson Wentz in terms of winning football games with a quarterback.
Yes.
You would agree?
But I would agree.
I don't know how he moves the ball through the air against this vaunted secondary. So I'm going to look at his under passing yards. It's at 214.5. I don't think he gets to 200, and it's pretty much that simple. So I'll go Heineke under pass yards.
Well, I have a prop bet that goes hand in hand with that one. I'm taking him under 20.5 completions for most of the same reasons that you just gave. But if you look at this Eagles pass defense, it's absolutely elite. They are 35% completion percentage allowed. That's 4th in the league. They are for 9, touchdown to interception. That is first in the league. And passer rating 29.2 allowed on throws of 10 plus air yards this season. That's the best in the NFL. You got Darius Slay and James Bradbury, who have just been locking it down. They rank second and third in passer rating allowed as primary defenders in coverage this season. I think it's basically going to be the Washington defense that is keeping them in this game. I really don't think that they're going to be able to score a lot. So you're taking him under his passing yards. I'm going to take him under his completions. And if it wasn't so juicy, I would take him for an interception. Heineke has had an interception thrown in each of his games since starting week 7. And honestly, it should be more. He's just not really an accurate quarterback. I mean, I don't know what else to say about him. And the Eagles are the best interception defense in football right now, averaging 1.5 picks per game. If you can find it at 1.5 somewhere at plus money, I would go ahead and take that. But looking at Caesars, it was like minus 214 for him to get over 1 interception. But I don't know, if you could throw it in a parlay or something, it might be worth it.
That's good advice, though, to look for the 1.5 and play it at plus money instead of betting on interception at minus 200. There's no point. In that case, I'd rather bet on a bad QB to figure out how to not throw an interception for plus money. But I agree with you. Like, I like, we're in lockstep there. The under completions is a good number, 220.5. So I like that. And to the same point, moving to my next player prop, like if they're going to stay on the field, cover your 11 points, maybe make this game go under and play in a gritty, low scoring one and trust their defense, you got to run the ball. And I thought when the Eagles drafted Jordan Davis that nobody would be able to run up the middle on Jordan Davis and Fletcher Cox. But oddly enough, they ranked 27th in rush DVOA. So that's kind of how you beat the Eagles defense. You run on them. And I think Brian Robinson could be the beneficiary of that tonight. They do a three-headed monster back there with J.D. McKissick, Antonio Gibson, and Brian Robinson. But McKissick's out for this one. He's more of the pass-catching back. And I think Robinson has a chance to be more of the power back and just kind of first down yardage, make them not play from 3rd and 12 the whole game and get some early down yards. So I like him to go over 33.5 rush yards, pretty low total. I think B-Rob gets some carries tonight.
I love that. I'm going to do an anytime touchdown just because those are always fun. I'm going to take A.J. Brown to get into the end zone. That's at plus 123 right now. He's got 43 catches for 718 yards and 6 touchdowns. He had 1 against the Commanders already this season, 3 consecutive in the last 3 games. And like you said, Washington's solid against the run, but they've only allowed 4 rushing touchdowns throughout the year. However, passing defense has given up 16 touchdowns through the air. Washington also allows 174 yards per game to opposing wide receivers. That's the 7th most in the NFL. So I might also look at A.J. Brown's yards prop, but I definitely think he's going to get into the end zone, plus 123.
Yeah, that's what's scaring me about the under is the Swiss cheese defense in the secondary for the Commanders. If Jalen Hurts lights him up, it's going to be through the air, I think, and A.J. Brown could certainly be the beneficiary there. So how can you be mad at that?
It's the best time of year. Football season is in full swing. Basketball and hockey have returned, and nothing beats seeing your favorite team live. Make up for lost time and go enjoy a game. Vivid Seats, the official ticketing partner of ESPN, is offering you $10 off your first $100 ticket purchase with the code MOXIE. That's code MOXIE. Download the app and visit vividseats.com today. Vivid Seats, life happens live. Starting your own business can be a total roller coaster. Between all the bumpy twists and turns comes the actual business side of your business, which can really throw you for a loop. Luckily, with QuickBooks, you can manage your business with confidence from the start. So no matter how bumpy the ride gets, you can always stay on track. New business, no problem. Success starts with Intuit QuickBooks. Learn more at QuickBooks.com. All right, what I'm going to lock in for my Mox Locks today is Commanders plus 11, and I'm going to ride with you on that under 43.5. What are your locks?
So I'm going to go with a longest completion prop, which I've been playing a lot on this show, actually, and they've been pretty successful. I like Jalen Hurts to throw a bomb at some point tonight over 38.5 yards for his longest. When these teams last played, despite a very low-scoring game, he had all sorts of bombs. There's a 40-yard catch, a 45-yarder, a 38-yarder. So I think he can uncork one, too, and what should be a stalemate for a while, maybe the ground game is most prevalent, and then all of a sudden he unleashes one. So I'm looking for a big play from Jalen Hurts.
Oh, I love that. Any other lock?
And yes, I have one more. I'm actually going to go just degen mode and give you guys a 5th bet because, well, I'm here to have fun and give out some winners. So let's get a teaser going in this one in a primetime standalone game. I don't mind teasing. I'll go a 6-point teaser. Let's tease your Commanders up to plus 17, and I'll tease the under up to 49.5. So we'll go Commanders plus 17, under 49.5, and I think we can hit that one.
I think that's a good one too. I feel like you and Kenny have both been giving out those same game teasers, and they have been hitting. Danny, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been Moxie Bets presented by Caesars Sportsbook. Don't forget to follow us on social at Moxie Bets. We'll see you Wednesday.